But I really want to talk about Florida State because we talked about it a couple shows ago. Florida State really setting itself up, and it's really proven to pay off as the dead period kicks in. I mean, Florida State was one of those teams that really, I believe, just sat and waited and watched as all the dominoes of all the major programs and their targets and prospects were kind of leaning towards. Let those dominoes fall, let those visits up. And man, boy, did they set themselves up in a big position. Another prime example of sometimes you just got to sit and wait and let things happen. And I feel like Florida State took a different approach to this recruiting offseason, knowing that they were going to have to fill a lot of positions. But again, and I also, what I loved about Florida State's, once they got their core commitment of their classes from this offseason, they used their commits to be able to be their recruiters. And I think that as much as we talk about what Florida State can offer NIL wise, of course, Florida State, basically being in a rebuild, they provide a lot of opportunity, which has been enticing to a lot of these high profile recruits wanting to go to places like Florida State because, as much as it's about NIL, it's about getting playing time off the jump. And I think that's what Florida State also offered after seeing how they were able to navigate. So like I said, talk about not only staging a QBQ, but just getting some top guys. I mean, we talked about it early on with Oklahoma kind of shifting interest towards Bo Bentley and him ultimately signing, but it worked out perfectly because then it shaved those domino. We talked about Jaden O'Neal also being one of the top guys on the Florida State board, and I knew as soon as all those dominoes were falling and Oklahoma and Bo Bentley committing to Oklahoma, that Jaden O'Neal was definitely going to be heading to Florida State. So again, kudos to Florida State for the way they navigated. I was going to pull up some notes on Florida State, but I mean, getting Devin Carter, just getting all these top guys, Xavier Tiller, and just, and right now they're waiting on some guys that are making commitments within this week, and of course, through that first week of July. So again, Florida State really just taking a different approach, Mark, to recruiting, where everyone's kind of knocking at the door constantly. They just sit back, waited and relaxed, waited for dominoes to fall, and boy, have they landed some not key flips, but key positions in filling voids of need in a different approach. So again, Florida State really on fire with, I mean, and I don't believe that they are done yet. I think within the next couple days, as recruits have returned home, a lot of the recruits that I've been talking across the board coming off their official visits, they're really using this week. That's the popular thing that they've all talked to me and from different aspects. They really are taking the time this week to really set back, really see. They said that some of the new programs that were emerging in some of these last official visits for them really gave them some ideas and kind of food for thought. A lot of guys set to make their commitments have also told me that they're thinking about pushing back their commitments as late offers have come in, as the moves have turned. So again, even though we're in the height of dead period, this is probably going to be the most busiest time when it comes to flips and commitments. Because remember, in dead period, that just simply means it will go through the end of July. It just simply means that there is no in-person contacts. Uh, uh, Recruits and prospects cannot go onto campus, and vice versa, unofficial or unofficial. So basically but there is unlimited. I feel like you're like a rate plan. There's unlimited call, text, electronic communication. So that there's plenty going up there. Of course, a lot of kids right now that talked with me, off the record, simply said that, they knew where they wanted to go, but after some of these visits, they have been kind of torn. So again, that's what we're going to hear a lot of. But again, Florida State there with Devin Carter. I mean, this is a kid that everyone was battling out of one of the top schools in Douglas County that produces a lot of raw talent, probably one of the best wide receivers in the country out there. We thought that maybe he was going to get some momentum, of course, with Texas A&M. He plays out there with Aaron Gregory and some of the key top players in the top recruiting class. So again, Florida State making huge moves. I don't believe they're done yet. I think heading into this weekend, as more dominoes fall, they're going to sit and wait back, but they are well on their way. They may not have, they may have pushed themselves into the top recruiting class, Mark, but again, they may not have the number one recruiting class on paper, but what they do have indeed